Single dad gave a lift to a woman with a torn dress. She was the runaway bride of a billionaire. The snow was falling in thick, merciless sheets that night when Marcus Hale almost didn't see her. She was standing on the edge of Route 9, barefoot on the frozen asphalt, her white gown torn at the hem and streaked with mud, her heels dangling from one hand like broken wings. For a split second, Marcus thought he was imagining things, a bride, alone, in the middle of a snowstorm at 11:30 at night. But then her head lifted, her eyes caught the beam of his headlights, and the raw devastation on her face told him everything he needed to know. Something had gone terribly, irreversibly wrong tonight. Marcus was a man who had learned not to stop for strangers. Life had taught him that lesson the hard way, through a divorce that gutted him, through raising his 7-year-old daughter Lily alone on a mechanic's salary, through years of doing everything right and still somehow ending up on the losing side of things. He was tired in the way that only single parents understand, the kind of tired that lives in your bones. He had been driving home from a double shift, and all he wanted was to kiss his daughter goodnight and sleep. But something made him pull over. Maybe it was the way she looked so completely alone in the storm. Maybe it was Lily's voice in the back of his mind, the way she always said, "Daddy, we have to help people who are sad." He pulled over. If you believe in kindness and second chances, this story is for you. Please like this video, drop a comment below, share it with someone who needs to hear it today, and subscribe to Kindness Corner, because every act of kindness deserves a witness, ***. He didn't ask questions at first. He simply leaned over and pushed open the passenger door, and she climbed in without a word, shivering so violently that her teeth chattered. He turned the heat all the way up and pulled back onto the road. She smelled like expensive perfume and something else, something raw and human, like grief. Her mascara had run down her cheeks in long dark rivers, and her hair, once pinned in what must have been an elaborate updo, was falling loose around her shoulders in wet, tangled waves. She was beautiful in the way that people are beautiful when they've stopped trying to be, unguarded, undone, completely real. Her name was Claire. She told him that much when he gently asked, keeping his eyes on the icy road. Claire Whitmore. And though the name meant nothing to Marcus, who spent his days underneath cars and his evenings reading bedtime stories, it would have meant everything to the rest of the world. Claire Whitmore was the only daughter of a retired senator, and tonight she had been hours away from becoming the wife of Dominic Hargrove, one of the most powerful billionaires on the eastern seaboard. The wedding had been the event of the season. 200 guests. A cathedral decked in white roses. A dress that cost more than Marcus earned in 3 years. And Claire had walked out of it, walked past the altar, past the stunned guests, past her furious mother and her bewildered father, and straight out into the February night, because she had discovered, 20 minutes before the ceremony, a series of messages on Dominic's phone that told her exactly what kind of man she was about to bind her life to forever. She didn't tell Marcus all of that right away. It came out slowly, the way real pain always does, in fragments, in half-sentences, in long silences that said more than words could. Marcus didn't push. He just drove, and listened, and occasionally said something quiet and steady that made her feel, for the first time all night, like she wasn't completely falling apart. He told her about Lily. About how his ex-wife had left when Lily was 2, how he had figured out braiding hair from YouTube tutorials, how he burned the grilled cheese every single time but Lily ate it anyway and told him it was the best in the world. He told her these things not to impress her or distract her, but because the truth was the only thing he knew how to offer. And somehow, sitting in that warm car with the snow swirling outside and a stranger's quiet honesty filling the space between them, Claire began to breathe again for the first time in hours. He drove her to the only place he could think of, the diner on Maple Street that stayed open all night, where the coffee was terrible and the booths were patched with duct tape and nobody ever looked twice at anyone. He bought her a cup of hot chocolate with his last $10 and sat across from her in his oil-stained jacket, and they talked until nearly 2 in the morning. She told him what she had seen on Dominic's phone, the other woman, the secret accounts, the casual cruelty of a man who had never once looked at her the way Marcus looked at the photograph of Lily he kept on his dashboard. He listened without judgment. And then he said something so simple and so true that Claire felt it land somewhere deep inside her chest like a stone dropped into still water. He said that leaving the wrong life, no matter how much it cost, was always the bravest thing a person could do. He said he knew because he had done it too, in his own way, on a much smaller stage, and that the life waiting on the other side of that kind of courage was always more real, and more worth living, than anything you left behind. By the time he drove her to her college roommate's apartment across town, the one person she trusted completely, the one who didn't care about billionaires or society weddings, Claire had stopped shaking. She sat for a moment with her hand on the door handle, not quite ready to leave the warmth of the car and the strange, unexpected safety she had found in it. She looked at Marcus and told him she didn't know how to thank him. He shook his head and smiled the small, tired smile of a man who had learned that some moments weren't about repayment, only about showing up. He told her to go inside, get warm, and be kind to herself. She called him 3 weeks later. Not with lawyers, not with grand gestures, but with a simple phone call and an invitation to bring Lily to a small art exhibit she had organized at a local community center, something she had always dreamed of doing and had finally, for the first time, done entirely for herself. He came. Lily held Claire's hand within the first 5 minutes and declared that she was her new best friend. Marcus stood back and watched his daughter laugh in a way she hadn't in a long time, and something in his chest that had been braced and guarded for years quietly, carefully began to open. No one could have predicted what grew from that night. Not from a snowstorm, a torn dress, a $10 hot chocolate, and a man who almost didn't stop. But the most important things in life rarely announce themselves. They arrive quietly, at the side of the road, in the middle of a storm, when someone chooses to pull over instead of drive on. Speech balloon before we close, drop the word kindness in the comments if this story moved you. Let's fill this comments section with something beautiful today, ****. If this story touched your heart the way we hoped it would, please give this video a like, share it with someone who needs a little hope right now, and subscribe to Kindness Corner, because in a world that can feel very cold sometimes, kindness is still the most powerful thing one person can offer another. And sometimes, it changes everything.